Hi, welcome to Key Skill 1, the first video in the Algebraic Fractions series. I'm super excited today because this is the first video in the A2, the second year of the A-level course video. So all my baby mathematicians that did AS last year and have passed, I've moved on to the second year and it's a new year, so this is the first video. Okay, we're going to start by looking at algebraic fractions. You see we've got 4 examples in the first key skill that we want to simplify as much as possible or cancel down. So let's have a look at question 1. You can see here that this fraction has already been factorized. You can see it's already in the form with the highest common factor here outside or the quadratic down here with 2 brackets. That makes it really simple. What you want to do is once it's been factorized, you want to cancel down any common factors. So here my final fraction will be 3 over x plus 5. And that's simplified down as much as possible. Now in the second example, it's a little bit more complicated because the fraction hasn't been factored for you. So you need to factor that yourself. So you need to think, what can I take outside of 4x plus 8? Because it hasn't got an x squared, it's the highest common factor method. So you need to look at what can you take outside the bracket. Here, the highest common factor is 4, because 4 can be taken out of 4x and it can be taken out of 8. So that's the top factorized, or the numerator. Now to factorize the bottom, or the denominator, I'm looking for 2 numbers that multiply to give me 8, but add up to give me 6. So that's going to be 4 and 2. Because 4 multiplied by 2 will give 8, but 4 add 2 will give me 6. So the first step is to factorize the numerator, factorize the denominator. Now in the second step, just like the first question, what you're going to do is cancel the common factors. So look for what's in both. So you can see x plus 2 is here, and again here. And we're going to have a final answer here of 4 over x plus 4. Now we've got a double quadratic in question 3, a quadratic on the top and a quadratic on the bottom. So both of those need to be factorized. Okay, I've put open brackets and put x's for both of these because they're both non-monic. So they both don't have a number in front of the x squared. If you do have a number in front of the x squared, like these two here, it's a little bit more complicated, a slight bit longer. We're going to get to that in question 4. For this more simple quadratics, you want to have 2 numbers that multiply here for minus 15 and add for 2. So I can see 5 and 3 will multiply for 15. Now because it's minus 15, one needs to be a minus and one needs to be a plus. I have to think carefully about the signs because I want plus 2. So if the number here is positive, you want the negative number to be smaller and the positive number bigger. So you can check that now. 5 times minus 3 is minus 15, but 5 take away 3 is 2. So that one's done. We're going to repeat the process here with the denominator, and we're going to look for numbers that multiply for plus 12 and add for minus 7. Now because it's 12 and 7, I'm going to choose 4 and 3, but I can't have plus 4 and plus 3, because although they would multiply for plus 12, they wouldn't add up for minus 7. So to get a positive number here, you need to have a double plus or a double minus, because minus times minus is plus. So here I'm going to have minus 4 and minus 3. Minus 4 times minus 3 is going to be plus 12, and minus 4 minus 3 will be minus 7. Now I look for the common factors. I can see both of them have here x minus 3. Cancel those out, and I have a final answer, simplified fraction of x plus 5 on the top and x minus 4 on the bottom. Let's have a look at our fourth and more complicated example. I'm going to factorize these separately because the process is a little bit longer. These ones are called non-monic quadratics. That means that the number in front of x squared is not a 1. Like for example, monic would just have an x squared. Now I make a little table on the side here, and I multiply 6 by 5. So 6 times 5 is 30, and I look at the number in the middle, that's minus 13. Now the process is very similar because I'm looking for two numbers that multiply for 30, but add up or sum together for minus 13. So I'm going to try a couple that are incorrect so you can see how you could work this. So I could try, for example, minus 6 times minus 5. Minus 6 times minus 5 would be plus 30 because it's a double minus. And minus 6 minus 5 would add up to a minus number. That would be minus 11, so that would be incorrect. Let's just do one more just to be really clear. You could try also minus 30 times minus 1. Minus 30 times minus 1 being 30, and minus 30 minus 1 being minus 31. Again, incorrect. The correct solution is going to be, you might have guessed it by now, minus 10 times minus 3. Minus minus for the plus 30, 10 times 3 is 30, and minus 10 minus 3 will be minus 13, which is what we're looking for. Now this is where it gets a little bit tricky. You're going to copy the beginning and the end ones, they're going to stay exactly the same. Now the minus 13, you're going to break down into two parts using your answers from the little grid that you've created over here. So you're going to break minus 13 down into minus 3x and minus 10x. You can see if you put them back together, if you do minus 3 minus 10, that will give you the 13 back, minus 13 back. So what you have now is you've got 4 algebraic accessions, or 4 parts. You're going to put them into 2, you're going to group together the first 2 and the last 2, and factorize these 2 separately using the highest common factor method, which means we're going to look at 6x squared and minus 3x and think, what is in both of them? So for 6 and 3, I can definitely factor out the number 3. And from x squared and x, I can take out an x. So that will factor out now. 3x times 2 will give me back the 6, 3 times 2, and x times x for the x squared. I'm going to put the minus. 3x times 1 would give me the minus 3x here. These two I'm going to factorize also using the same method. If I've done it correctly, the bracket will be identical. That's the trick. So from 10 and 5, you can take out 5 from both of these numbers. You can divide both of them by 5. That's the highest common factor. And I'm going to take out a minus 5 here, because I want it to match, like I said. So minus 5 times 2 will give me the minus 10, but I also need an x. And for the plus 5, minus 5 times minus 1, the double minus will create the plus, and 5 times 1. Now, to get your final answer here, we're going to do 3x minus 5. So I'm going to take this one and this one, and I'm going to take the second bracket is going to be the bracket that was repeated or that was the same from both of these steps here. So you can see in this case 2x minus 1 here, 2x minus 1 there, and we've got it there. So that's the top factorized, or the numerator. We're going to repeat the process for the denominator here. You might already be really familiar with how to factorize these, but after a long summer, I don't think it's a bad idea to have a revision. So I'm going to create my grid. The first one is going to be my multiply number, the second one my add. So 3 times minus 5 will mean I'm multiplying for minus 15, and I'm adding for minus 2. Because it's minus 15, I'm going to need a minus and a plus. Okay, so 15, I can have 5 and 3. Now, because I want them to add up to a negative number, I put the negative number higher. So I put the negative number will be 5, and the positive number will be plus 3. Because minus times plus will give me the minus 5 times 3, 15. And when I add them together, if the minus number is the higher number and the positive number the smaller, that will give me the minus number here. So here, minus 5, add 3 will give me the minus 2. If I wanted plus 2, I would have put the minus on the 3 and the plus on the 5. So we're going to do exactly the same as before. We're going to copy the beginning and the end, And we're going to split the minus 2x into, I'm going to put the minus 5x here, it just feels more natural, the two 5s are together, and the plus 3x here. Again, you could have them the other way around, but for me it just looks more simple if the 3's are together and the 5's are together. From these two, I'm going to do the highest common factor, and again from these two. So from these two, I can take 3x, and then that will be x plus 1 left. 3x times x will be 3x squared, 3x times 1, 3x. And from these two, I'm going to take minus 5, and again, that will be x plus 1. Take these two for your first bracket, and the repeated one, the one that should be the same if you've done it correctly, for the second bracket. This is quite a lot of work. What you want to do is take your original fraction. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the two answers that we've calculated here. So for the 3x squared minus 2x minus 5, we factorized it to be 3x minus 5 times by x plus 1. And for the 6x squared minus 13x plus 5, we had 3x minus 5 and 2x minus 1. And you can see here, again, we've got some common factors which can cancel down. So we're going to have 2x minus 1 and x plus 1. And that's going to be our final answer and our final question from Key Skill 1. Hope you enjoyed that. See you in Key Skill 2.